The movie starts with a group of gangsters offering a large sum of money to an honest police officer as a bribe. These gangsters are led by a man named Nguyen. Nguyen tells the police officer to stop interfering with his illegal activities. When the police officer refuses, Nguyen immediately orders his younger brother, Sir Shu, to get rid of the police officer. While the police officer is being tortured, it becomes clear that the police officer's younger sister, Chang, is also there. Chang can only hide and watch as her brother is tortured by Sir Shu. At the same time, Sir Shu discovers Chang's presence and begins to harass her in front of her dying brother. After he's done, Sir Shu kills Chang's brother and leaves her behind. The next day, Chang is still mourning the loss of her brother. Two police officers approach her to discuss her brother's death. Sadly, they explain that capturing Nguyen, the mafia leader, and his brother, Sir Shu, is nearly impossible because they have control over a big part of the city and have corrupt police allies. Chang finds this deeply unfair and decides she'll seek revenge on Nguyen and Sir Shu in her own way. A few days later, Chang goes to visit the headquarters of a rival mafia group led by a man named He Hu. She arrives just as He Hu is interrogating one of Nguyen's men caught smuggling illegal goods in his territory. When He Hu sees Chang, he's reminded of his late wife, who bears a striking resemblance to Chang. Chang offers He Hu a bag of money in exchange for his help in getting rid of Nguyen and Sir Shu. He Hu, however, says he doesn't need the money but agrees to help if Chang eliminates Nguyen's man, who is being tortured. Chang promptly grabs a gun and points it at the man. Chang has never taken a life before, so she hesitates when faced with the man. The man tries to attack her, but He Hu steps in and eliminates him, saving Chang. Afterward, Chang confides in He Hu, telling him about her brother's murder by Nguyen's gang and how she was harassed by Sir Shu. She's determined to get revenge for their cruel actions. He Hu sympathizes with Chang and offers his help, but with a condition. Chang must join his group and train as an assassin under his guidance. Chang, eager to seek vengeance, agrees to his terms and officially becomes a member of the group. The following day, He Hu starts Chang's intensive training. Chang is highly motivated to prepare herself for the mission to take down Nguyen and Sir Shu. A year later, Sir Shu is brutally torturing an honest police officer named Zhao, who refuses to accept bribes from their gang. Not long after, Chang arrives at the scene, appearing as if she were a lady of the night. She tells them about the extensive training she's undergone over the past year. Sir Shu, not recognizing her, thinks she's a present from Nguyen and takes her to his room. During their encounter, Chang manages to injure Sir Shu's stomach, leading to a showdown between them. In the midst of their fight, Sir Shu escapes, and Chang frees Zhao. Chang then advises Zhao to make a quick exit. Following this, Chang goes after Sir Shu, facing off against numerous henchmen sent to stop her. Eventually, Chang defeats all of them, leaving only Sir Shu to contend with. Sir Shu tries to fight back by shooting at Chang, but she skillfully avoids all the bullets. She corners him and, before taking him down, reveals her identity as the woman who was harassed by Sir Shu a year ago and whose brother he had killed. Afterward, Chang goes to He Hu, bringing a piece of Sir Shu's finger as proof. He Hu is impressed with Chang and values her loyalty. He orders his right-hand man to send Sir Shu's finger to Nguyen as a signal that war is about to break out. Soon after, Nguyen becomes furious when he learns that his younger brother, Sir Shu, has been eliminated. Nguyen also punishes some of He Hu's henchmen who delivered Sir Shu's finger to him. One of Nguyen's business associates suggests a non-violent approach to retaliate against He Hu, but Nguyen dismisses the advice and kills the associate for daring to advise him. Soon after, Nguyen is paid a visit by Li Mei, the owner of the city's largest brothel. She discloses her past affiliation with He Hu, but claims to have defected and joined Nguyen. In an attempt to win favor with Nguyen, Li Mei offers him some women from her establishment. The next day, there's a protest against drug trafficking in front of He Hu's headquarters, led by a man named Lu Hao. He Hu swiftly bribes a few police officers to disperse the demonstrators. He then tasks Chang with eliminating Lu Hao, the leader of the protesters. Initially, Chang refuses because her sole purpose in joining He Hu was to take down Nguyen and his associates. However, He Hu becomes furious and insists that Chang was trained to be a lethal operative, ready to eliminate anyone who threatens his criminal empire. In the end, Chang reluctantly agrees to He Hu's request. Later that evening, He Hu and his henchmen launch an attack on Nguyen's illegal goods manufacturing facility. Meanwhile, Nguyen and his right-hand man are indulging themselves at a brothel with Li Mei. Returning to He Hu, he has managed to convince all of Nguyen's henchmen in the factory to surrender. He confidently proclaims himself as their new boss and persuades them with a hefty sum of money to join him. At the same time, Chang arrives, clutching one of Lu Hao's severed fingers. She proudly announces that she has successfully carried out He Hu's order to eliminate Lu Hao. He Hu is impressed with Chang's accomplishment, but suddenly, one of Nguyen's resentful henchmen attempts to shoot He Hu. Chang acts quickly to shield He Hu, but he ends up protecting her, taking the bullet himself. He Hu sustains severe injuries in the process and has to be rushed to the hospital. Meanwhile, Nguyen receives word that He Hu has taken control of the factory, along with some of Nguyen's own henchmen. This news infuriates him, prompting him to order his remaining henchmen to launch an assault on He Hu's headquarters. This sets the stage for a clash between the two rival factions. Later that night, Chang stands guard by the unconscious He Hu's side in the hospital. Two of He Hu's trusted men approach her with news that Nguyen's forces have attacked their headquarters. Chang then urges them to hold off the attackers for as long as possible and assures them that she'll strike back against Nguyen once He Hu regains consciousness. After He Hu's men depart, a nurse comes over to check on He Hu, but she has sinister intentions and tries to kill him. Chang steps in to defend He Hu, subduing the nurse. He Hu's men then inform Chang that the nurse was actually one of Li Mei's subordinate. Chang decides to leave them in charge of He Hu's care while she heads to confront Li Mei at her residence. Upon her arrival, Li Mei tries to bribe Chang with a suitcase full of money on the condition that she joins Nguyen. However, Chang, loyal and resolute, refuses to be a traitor and challenges Li Mei to a one-on-one duel until one of them is defeated. During the duel, it becomes clear that Li Mei is much better at fighting than Chang, and she manages to back Chang into a corner. Just when it seems like Li Mei will win, she's suddenly shot. It turns out to be He Hu, who has just woken up from his coma, and he quickly joins Chang with his henchmen. After defeating Li Mei, He Hu embraces Chang and gives her a necklace that belonged to his late wife. It's revealed that He Hu has been in love with Chang all along, and he wants to marry her. Chang, who feels the same way, accepts He Hu's love, and they decide to get married soon. Not long after, He Hu and Chang are now officially married. He Hu declares that from now on, Chang is also the mafia boss just like him. All of He Hu's henchmen will follow Chang's orders without question. The next day, Chang takes charge and leads her gang, all geared up to strike back at Nguyen's headquarters. It's clear that Nguyen's crew is ready for them, setting the stage for a showdown between the two mafia groups. Amidst the chaos of the battle, Chang makes her way in to face Nguyen himself. As she steps inside, Nguyen immediately threatens her several shots aimed at her. But Chang stands her ground, showing no fear whatsoever. In this tense moment, Nguyen asks Chang why she's so determined to eliminate him. Chang then reveals that she's the younger sister of the cop Nguyen killed a year ago. She's also the woman who Sershu harassed right in front of her own brother. Hearing this, Nguyen chuckles and tells her that he's not the sole mastermind behind all of this. Not long after, He Hu suddenly shows up with some of Nguyen's business partners who have switched sides to join He Hu's crew. Chang then turns to Nguyen and asks him to reveal who else was involved in her brother's murder. Nguyen begins to explain that Chang's brother was a cop with big dreams of wiping out the illegal goods gang. But just as Nguyen is about to continue his story, He Hu interrupts and eliminates Nguyen, leaving him no chance to finish his story. Afterward, He Hu's gang regroups and claims all the territories as their own. Fast forward a few months, and we see He Hu's business expanding further. He now has become the biggest drug lord, and his business has started expanding internationally. One day, Chang stumbles upon He-hu praying to his late wife. She notices a photo of He-hu's wife, who bears a striking resemblance to Chang herself. To make things even more interesting, Chang also accidentally overhears He-hu apologizing to his late wife for marrying her. He-hu admitting that he never truly cared for Chang, and that he married her solely to use her as a pawn to take down Nguyen. As it turns out, Nguyen was the one who had killed He-hu's wife. Then Chang overhears He-hu instructing his right-hand man to eliminate Officer Zhao, the same cop she had saved from Sir Shu's torture. He-hu emphasizes the need to keep this a secret from Chang, as Officer Zhao is now their only potential threat to their business. Later that night, Officer Zhao walks alone, unaware of the danger lurking nearby, as some of He-hu's henchmen prepare to attack him. Fortunately, Chang arrives just in time to rescue him. Officer Zhao wonders why Chang keeps saving him, especially now that she's married to He-hu. Chang explains that her sole reason for joining He-hu was to avenge her brother's death, and she has no intention of becoming a drug lord like He-hu. Officer Zhao, a close friend of Chang's brother, suggests that she enter a rehabilitation center with him. Inside, they witness many addicts trying to break free from their habits. Seeing this, Chang feels a deep sense of guilt, realizing that indirectly she has aided He-hu in expanding his illegal operations. Shortly after, Chang encounters Lu Hao, the leader of the protesters, who is surprisingly still alive. It turns out Chang hadn't killed Lu Hao, she had only taken one of his fingers. As Chang is about to depart, Officer Zhao suggests that she should break free from He-hu's grasp. He believes Chang has a good heart and even suggests she join the fight against the drug trade in the city. But Chang remains silent, unable to respond, and then quietly leaves. Not long after, Chang heads to He-hu's illegal goods factory. She orders everyone to evacuate immediately. Inside, Chang places the necklace He-hu had given her in front of a photo of his late wife. Then she sets the factory ablaze and escapes through the back exit, making it seem like she perished in the fire to those outside. The next day, He-hu is furious upon discovering his illegal goods factory in ruins. He also finds Chang's necklace, but is convinced that she didn't die, but she simply left him. 3 months later, Chang is leading a peaceful life at the rehabilitation center, where she volunteers without pay, feeling guilty about her past actions. It's revealed that Chang is now pregnant with He-hu's child. During a chat with Lu Hao, there's suddenly a disturbance. He-hu's 2 right-hand men have arrived with the intention of wrecking the facility, as He-hu doesn't want a rehab center in his city. Lu Hao suggests that Chang hide in a room while he confronts He-hu's men and their crew. Unfortunately, Lu Hao is clearly outmatched and is easily captured. Later on, He-hu's henchmen tempt one of the patients with free drugs on the condition that he kills his own mother. Just as the patient is about to do it, Lu Hao bravely steps in and ends up getting fatally stabbed, sacrificing himself to save the mother. Witnessing this, Chang can't stay hidden any longer and steps out to confront them all. In the midst of the chaos, Chang experiences bleeding due to a harsh kick to her abdomen. The owner of the rehab center rushes Chang to the hospital while He-hu's 2 right-hand men continue to rally their henchmen to destroy the center. In the end, the facility is ruined and many people become victims of the violence. In the evening, Chang regains consciousness and police officer Zhao is there with her. He tells Chang that she suffered a miscarriage due to the earlier battle. Chang looks very angry upon hearing this and asks Officer Zhao to take her to the rehab center right away. When they arrive at the rehab center, Chang is shocked to find it in ruins, with many people harmed. Officer Zhao then reveals the truth about who was behind her brother's murder. Back then, her brother was determined to wipe out the drug gang in the city, which made Nguyen and He-hu team up to eliminate him, fearing he'd threaten their businesses. But at the time, only Nguyen acted because He-hu was out of town. After Chang's brother was killed, He-hu's empire grew even bigger than Nguyen's, making Nguyen jealous, so he decided to kill He-hu's wife, and from then on, they became enemies. Now, He-hu is the most powerful mafia in the city. Hearing all of this, Chang is determined to get revenge on He-hu. Officer Zhao promises to help her, as he has the backing of headquarters to combat the drug mafia. The following day, Officer Zhao and his team storm Heiko's headquarters, leading to a fierce battle. Meanwhile, Chang makes her way to Heiko through the back entrance, but she has to deal with Heiko's henchmen guarding the area first. After defeating them all, Chang finally confronts Heiko, who is in the middle of a meal. Right away, Chang boldly announces that she's here to avenge her brother's death now that she knows the whole truth. Heiko, on the other hand, simply laughs and a battle breaks out. In the end, Heiko manages to overpower Chang. With all her might, Chang tries to take Heiko's sword and thrusts it into his own abdomen, piercing through to her own. She does this as a way to seek redemption for her actions. In the end, both Heiko and Chang meet their demise. The end. Moral lesson from the story: sometimes revenge can be as confusing as a maze, and in the end, you might just end up poking yourself.